Hey, what's happening? Welcome to Mates TV. Vindaloo, it's coming home and all that jazz. The England squad has been announced. And Jordan Henderson and Trent Alexander-Arnold are a part of it. Of those two players, the one I want to focus on most is, of course, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who, whilst not a controversial decision in that, particularly given Reece James' injury, which was announced the day before, that he wouldn't be making the squad, which was a kind of a smart PR move on England's point as much as anything else, that they kind of teed it up that would be happening ahead of time, so no one could say, oh, what's he done? He's not taking the risk. Reece James got to say he really wants to go, and England got to kind of put out that it was a bit of a gamble too far for them, particularly where there's 74 more than capable right backs who fall into the English footballer category. But it's an odd one, and it's an odd fit in so much as, look, we've seen how Trent has been handled, shall we say, or mishandled by Gareth Southgate, particularly this season, but going back a couple of years now, especially. So that's one of the things I want to focus on. Now, I did a video a few weeks ago, and I looked at the relative statistical merits of Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Reece James. And I understand, I've come to understand why he wants Kieran Trippier. Look, he's in brilliant form. He can play both sides as well. He's got that experience. I see a very sort of like Milner-ish thing in him. And, you know, people might roll their eyes at that or whatever. And what I mean by that, he's kind of been there and done it. The little spell over at Atletico has actually really added to his aura. He's not got loads of years left at the top. He just looks a really shrewd purchase for Newcastle. He's a big card there. He's got the free kick thing the same way as Trent's got his deliveries there. He's getting and he's playing in a really good Newcastle side, and ultimately there's just no scrutiny on his performances. Reece James obviously injured. There should probably be more scrutiny on his performances at times, but there isn't, and it doesn't matter now. It's an irrelevant topic. Kyle Walker is Kyle Walker. Look, the fact that he can play on the right side of the back three and can play at the right wing back because of his electric pace means that if he's even a slight gamble, he's worth having there. So again, no controversy in Trent's selection. But what I think is, and I think there's a number of scenarios they're going to face Gareth Southgate and Trent in the coming month. I don't think all of them necessarily favour Trent, but the one thing that I think this is a big opportunity for, potentially, because there is a scenario where this is certainly not the case. I think there's a real chance for Trent Alexander-Arnold to basically grab the attention, grab the cheeks or ears of all of his critics and go, look at me, look at how I play, look at what I can do. And you'd like to hope in a team that's going to play three at the back, and it's going to have two holding midfielders as well, that if you choose to put Trent in at right wing back, then maybe freed of the shackles of having to think about what he has to do going the other way, you might just be able to be the elite creative machine that he is. And the problem I have with this, and I've said this plenty of times before, but I'll reiterate it for the people who just arrived. Trent is a perfectly capable defender, and I'm honestly, that sounds the way to say it out loud. I feel it feels really uncomfortable if you say it like that, because he's not. He's a really, really good defender. Really good. Like, would you say that if you had to pick his strongest attribute out, would you say it's his defensive attribute? No, you wouldn't. But you wouldn't say that about Pele. But honestly, like, Pele could have played in any position in the Brazil team. He was that good. Chuck Pele in goal, he would have been the best goalie. But the point is, people talked about, like, the brilliance. You accentuate the things that footballers are really, really good at. Like, Thiago is a deceptively good tackler. He's very good at slideys in a world where people don't really slide anymore. But the people go, oh yeah, that Thiago, grr. Oh, he's all about the fighting, the biting, the determination. No, people look at his silky touch and his skills and his creative aspects and his use of the ball and his body control and the fact that he's gorgeous. And rightly so. Trent has always been under this intense scrutiny. And I go back to the defensive thing. I don't want to overlabour this. There's hours and hours of this stuff out there. The idea that, you know, people go, well, Liverpool's right-hand side is getting targeted. Yeah, Liverpool's right-hand side has always been targeted because it's just a balance of probability. If you want to make something happen, even if it's only a fractional gain in a situation, you'll take that option. There's four different sort of areas of a back four you can attack. You can go around the outside. You can attack through the middle. You can attack, I'd say 5, go around the outside of each fullback. You can go between fullback and centre-half, or you can go straight through the middle, broadly speaking. If there's like a 0% chance of getting around Virgil, either side, and then there's like a 1% chance of getting round the centre-half on the other way, well, you just do that, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what happens. But it's as though people just choose not to look at body of work or body of evidence at times. And I think when a footballer fades, so you reach the tail end of a career, for example, I think, you reach a point where you go, well, you could do this and you could do that. And you go, well, look, maybe his football player's legs have gone, or his determination's gone, or, just a culmination of injuries or whatever has robbed him of a lot of the gifts that took him to that level. So it's hard to, with some footballers, you can't go, well, they used to be able to do this, so therefore they should be able to do it. Trent's 24. Like, he was playing in Champions League finals as a teenager. He was doing, playing against the best wingers, and has consistently played against the best wingers in European football, and world football technically as well, since coming into the team. And as much as there were times where we've gone, okay, well, this defensive side of things needs to improve. And there was certainly a time in the early part of his career when Liverpool had him and Joe Gomez at rotation at right back, and you did think the big teams with the best attacks, maybe you put Gomez in for that, but that honestly did not last long. That was the early progression of that, and Joe Gomez ends up getting shuffled over to centre-half and does a really good job there, and Trent becomes a every game of footballer for Liverpool, and part of me thinks that's a little bit of the issue for him. When we're going into the mid-season break, he's played the third most minutes, I think, of anyone in the Liverpool squad, behind Alisson Becker, who's been ever present, apart from the League Cup, and Virgil van Dijk. Your top players play loads, and also, let's be honest, the players where there is a bit of a drop-off to your understudy as well, and that's certainly been an issue for him, and I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for him. I want to talk about the positives, I want to talk about this tournament coming ahead, but it's going to be interesting to see. The idea that Trent is washed up or you can't defend, it's just nonsense. Some of it's circumstantial, some of it is a guy fighting through, clearly fighting through something. Whether it's dealing with a change of system or a spluttering team around them, which Liverpool certainly have been. I'd say Fabinho's been in a similar mould as well. And there's another guy who's not nailed down a place for his international side. Virgil van Dijk has struggled this season. He started to find his form again, which is great to see. Ibu Konate had been injured, come in, found his form, and found his way into the French squad. There's all kinds of different things. Calvin Ramsey, the understudy that was bought for Trent, finally being available, will have a significant impact on him moving forward. You can see Andy Robertson having Tsimikas battling with him has helped him. Every Liverpool player who's had a top quality understudy bought for them has either flourished and actually got even better and seen off that opponent, or has naturally been replaced by someone above and better. You can't really buy above and better than Trent. So what you can do is you can try and take some minutes out of his legs on a week-to-week basis. 2 games a week is not sustainable for any footballer. And doubly so this season, because there has been no respite at all. And maybe that's part of the promise as well. Maybe part of the conversation with Trent in the summer was, we're going to go, Nico Williams is going to move on, but we're going to go and get someone here, and he's going to give you 20 minutes off here and there. So when you do play, you're going to play 10% less football across the season, 15%. But what that's going to give you back is 15% more in your tank. More to add to the quality of when you do play, and to be promised that and not be able to have that because, of course, Calvin Ramsey ended up discovering an injury when we signed him is an issue. Anyway, look, on to the World Cup. The problem we've got is that he's not favoured by Southgate. Trippier will be favoured. If Kyle Walker's fit, he will be favoured. And look, it's kind of, I get it. I get it, I do. Southgate doesn't work with Trent on a week-to-week basis. He doesn't have these lads on a week-to-week basis. And the way Liverpool use Trent is not an archetypal way to use a fullback. When you see players who play as advanced as Trent Alexander-Arnold, it tends to be in 3 at the back. Reece James played a lot as right wing-back for Chelsea, as an example for that. And obviously Man City have got over Kyle Walker, but what Kyle Walker has got, he doesn't have the output of Trent in an offensive sense, but he's got so much pace. So even if he gets it, really badly wrong, and look, let's be honest, Kyle Walker does that. He is prone to making mad decisions at times. His recovery pace will get him out of trouble. We've seen that happen to loads of fullbacks. You can be elevated. Your lack of, in some areas, is compensated with pace. Trent doesn't have that as an escape clause, and I get it. So again, it's a more simplistic and easy thing to do, to plug Kieran Trippier or Kyle Walker or ultimately Reece James in, because they are more straightforward footballers. But the quality that Trent's got is immense. And I must admit, I'm a little trepidatious about him going with England. Part of me, as a Liverpool fan, wish he kind of just thrown the V's at Gareth, chucked the shirt on the floor and said, "You're right, I'll just be I'll be a guaranteed Liverpool legend. See you in a bit. Tell the England, the FA to give us a bell when you get a new manager." But I quite like the fact that no, he wants to stick out. He wants to prove himself. Which footballer doesn't want to prove himself at a World Cup? Will he get the opportunity to? That's going to be the big question. And when his opportunity does come, and I really hope it does, this is a big opportunity for Trent, as I say, to show the world, to show like all this boring, undercooked, sort of simplistic narrative that's built up around him, to prove it wrong and remind everyone that when we've been saying he's the best right back on the planet, we didn't say it because we just like him and because he's a Scouser. We love him because he's a Scouser. We adore him. We feel an immense connection and greater sense of pride around his activities and his successes because he's a Scouser. But you know what? We weren't making it up when we said Steven Gerrard was the best midfielder on the planet as well. When he was there, he just happened to be from Liverpool. We just happened to love him because of that. We've loved plenty of players who've been the best in their position. We love Virgil van Dijk, best centre-half on the planet. Sometimes you just need to go and prove it on a bigger stage. And I hope, and the thing is, truly world-class players do. Sometimes it doesn't work out for some, but I've seen Trent, I've been lucky enough to do a couple of bits and pieces with him over the years. He's an incredibly focused individual. Like, the focus and the drive to be the best is huge from him. And world-class players thrive under pressure. So while I'm a little scared that, like, what if he goes and what if he's the guy who makes the mistake? See, it happened to Jamie Carragher in World Cup 2006, happened to Steven Gerrard, it's happened to other Liverpool footballers. So that's why I hate Liverpool footballers going away with England, because you become the business of a bunch of people who don't really love you and don't really care about you. And let's be honest, with England, they love to bring heroes up only to tear them down. It's like a national obsession with making your own feel bad about yourselves. It's literally, you couldn't describe the UK better than this at the moment. But it's always been this way in football, particularly in the Premier League era, the 90s onwards. But I think Trent can do it, and I'd like him to do that. And whether it's because he's got a problem with Southgate, and I don't have a problem with Southgate, by the way. I see he gets a lot of stick. He's an absolutely solid, sound manager. You can't take away what he's been able to do. He's not won anything, but taking England deep into tournaments, more than most managers have done, with some purportedly better teams and golden generations. Seems a sound fella. Agreed to do our Jordan Henderson documentary a couple of years ago. Nice guy, knows his onions, knows his football. As a game plan to try and get England success. It's not going to be one that sees them play swashbuckling attacking football, because they'll get murdered if they do that. You need to be strong, resolute, have a good solid basis of defence, and eke things out in tournament football. His plans work so far, it'll probably work again. But I would like to find a way where Trent can get a platform, because I think it will help his Liverpool career one way or the other. Either sit there all tournament and don't play a single minute and sit there and fume, or get that chance, grab it, and again, showcase yourself. But both of those options, I think, will work out splendidly for Trent. And I trust that the unthinkable third, where he does something that, that isn't right and causes more scrutiny on him, won't come to pass, because ultimately the best footballers do strive in these kind of situations, as I've said before. So yeah, fingers crossed. The other alternative is do a Beckham or a Rooney or a Ronaldo or whatever, and be the guy that gets sent off and costs England. You'll be loathed, and then at least you don't have to worry about impressing anyone ever again. Be the absolute pariah of England. Be hated by all these lads in Bath who've got England flags and black paint painted on them and all that kind of stuff. The Cross of St George, shaggers. Basically, if you can make them hate you, then at least, you know what, it'll be fuel to the fire, and you can build yourself back up again, and you just be an absolute, hero for Liverpool on a weekly basis. And then, you know what, maybe a new manager comes in down the line with a bit of tactical nous sense and, attacking verve, and naturally brings him back into the side in the future. And then at the Euros and the World Cups that follow, Trent can be the star man that he deserves. Anyway, yes, I believe in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Do you believe in Trent Alexander-Arnold? If no, give your head a wobble. You should do. Do go and check out 888 Sport, by the way. They're looking at the best players outside of the traditional Big Six. Go over there, leave a comment below. Tell them mate sent you. It always makes me look good, which helps. More content to come from me over the World Cup. I'm not entirely certain, so if you've got any topics you'd like me to discuss, then do let me know in the comment section underneath, of course. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I'll play the clip out on 888. Have a wonderful time. And yeah, have a boss weekend. All the best. All the best. Christ. All the best.
And I've never really rated or particularly liked James Maddison. But this season, it's been sensational, hasn't it?
Remember, this season, someone can fact check this probably. I think he got 15 goals last season.
His goal scoring record's unbelievable.
15 goals.
I got to the end and I was doing the show. I was like, did he?
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't
So
realise.
so he's been consistently doing his thing, and he does get overlooked in the England squad.
Do you think Maddison would get into or ultimately get the move to Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool?
More so maybe in Arsenal or Tottenham.
It feels very Arsenal, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does feel like
he's-
Arsenal.
What about
player.
Chelsea? I could see him at Chelsea.
I'd love
Better than
that.
Conor
But
Gallagher.
as of today, that's probably true. Yeah, as of
I
today.
think Potter
But,
would prefer to have someone like Maddison.
but you nurture Gallagher. And
I think Gallagher's great. I don't think you can
Madison
take much
gets
away
this
from
free role
Gallagher.
for Leicester
Great.
as well, which I don't think you have at a big club. He kind of floats in the 10, goes to the left. I don't even know what his best position is, Madison.
I think he's a 10.
10.
I think 10, yeah?
10, definitely.
Yeah.
Behind a striker.
He could play behind Aubameyang or a new look Chelsea.
No, I
He'd be
I think so. I just don't feel that he's a very Chelsea player, but that's not.
For me, he's exactly what Tottenham would need, or Arsenal.
Tottenham
Very Arsenal.
Tottenham really need a. But you say that at Arsenal, they've got Vieira and Odegaard. He's never going to.
No.
So does Maddison leave Leicester?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
does he go to a team that, let's just say, does he go to a team that are in the Champions League?
Maybe not, because the fifth team and the sixth team could be
Okay, does
Man
he go to a
United,
team that are in
Spurs, or
Europe?
Yeah.
yes, yes, definitely.